Blog Talk Radio.
Sorry.
Welcome to the Will and Thunder Show. Well, welcome back to another wonderful edition of the Will and Thunder Show. I am Kevin Thunder. Welcome in, guys. Here with me somewhere around here would be William Telltale. Where you at there, buddy?
I'm here stuffing my face full of tater tots.
That's lovely.
I'm almost done. I'll wait till we take our break before I finish them. How's that?
Well, you know what? Okay, but that's fine. Not quite the intro I was expecting there, Potato Boy. But anyway, welcome in, guys. I hope. There you go, the Spud Stud over there.
But
so how's your week, man? How's things going for you?
Same as usual. Another day, another something or other. Another day, another headache. There we go.
Well, there you go, man. Well, I'm glad that you're living your life and I'm not, because I get headaches once in a while, but not every day. Good Lord. Anyway, well, guys, anybody who's out there and everything, welcome, Dan. Glad to have you guys back with us. This part of the show is what we call the shenanigans section of the show. This is where Will and I just kind of shoot the shit, get things rolling here, throw a little BS out there, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. If you want to be a part of this segment right here, just go ahead and call in. Will, why don't you throw that number out there?
It's 646-716-6135. The chat room's also open, and so is the Facebook page and all that stuff. But right now, here we go, the shenanigans segment.
Our shenanigans are cheeky and fun.
Yeah, I mean, his shenanigans are cruel and tragic, which makes them not shenanigans at all, really.
I swear to God, I'll pistol whip the next guy that says shenanigans.
Shenanigans! Shenanigans!
Are you little...
And here we are.
Very nice, very nice. Here we are with the shenanigans. Where do we start off with here, man? You were talking about shenanigans here. Remember last week we were talking a little bit about football, a little bit about the thing we love called football, and how the New York Jets had to went ahead and they signed the release quarterback from the Eagles, Michael Vick.
Yeah, Vick.
Okay. Now hold on. In the shenanigans of the whole thing, the Eagles this week went ahead and signed Sanchez. I mean, now the idea here, in my opinion here, a trade might have been better there instead of the whole let's let him go and we're going to sign him, we're going to let him go. They could have figured this out a lot sooner than this.
Well,
but
sure,
I really
when
feel
you're dealing
bad.
when you're dealing with Mark Sanchez, see what happened. The Eagles kind of screwed themselves. I mean, they do have their quarterback. What the hell's that guy's name?
Nick Foles.
Nick Foles. And he had a great rookie year. However, what if he has his sophomore slump? They're screwed. Who are they going to turn to now? Sanchez?
Oh, I know. I mean, first of all, I don't understand the whole idea of bringing Sanchez in. I mean, I guess he'd be an okay backup quarterback. I mean, he's average. He's average at best.
They waited too long to do that.
I'm telling you right now. Go ahead.
He's great, and but I mean, quarterbacks can have sophomore slumps. I mean, look at David Carr. He was drafted He was the first draft pick of the Houston Texans when they became a football team. And he had a great rookie year. His second year, he was horrible. I mean, third year, horrible. Fourth year, horrible. He played backup for several different teams, and he's out of the league.
I understand what you're saying there, but Nick Foles last year, unlike a lot of rookie quarterbacks who come out and they're blazing whatever, I mean, don't put up the numbers that Nick Foles put up. He had a 7-touchdown game last year, and with him playing halfway through the season, if he'd have played all season, he'd have been on par with Peyton Manning. I mean, he could have thrown 50 touchdown passes. In half the season, he threw almost 20 or somewhere around there. I mean, I don't have it in front of me here, but he was ridiculous. Yeah, so I don't understand why they bring a quarterback like that in there. Sanchez, it depends on, I don't remember what the money was. I mean, if the money is right, then you get a good second-string quarterback, as just in case. I mean, or above average.
That's the thing. I mean, the Jets. I mean, I love seeing the Jets quarterback situation in as much disarray as it is, but the Jets, they thought that they would, two years ago they passed on quarterbacks because Sanchez was the guy and all that stuff, and then they shot themselves in the foot by not taking a quarterback 2 years ago when draft time came around last year, because the best quarterback available was Geno Smith and E.J. Manuel, and both of them probably wouldn't have even been drafted until the 6th, 7th round in the draft with Tannehill and Andrew Luck and name from Seattle.
And you're right. E.J. Manuel, and they've yet to prove themselves. But you think Manuel, who was that's the one that was with the Jets, right?
Manuel went to the Bills.
Before I stick my foot in the mouth. The Bills. Geno Smith, who took over for Sanchez. He did a decent job with them, but you have to understand how much of a fiasco that was, the whole Jets team last year. I mean, I don't understand. I really don't understand how their coach still has a job. The last 2 years have been nothing but a mess for that team.
Yeah, I mean, it was. But you know what,
Rex Ryan looks like a joke, but anyway.
But you know what, I have something for Rex Ryan right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, keep it up, Rex. You're doing a hell of a job.
That's right.
We hate the Jets on the Will and Thunder show.
Well, and now speaking, all the press on football right now, I guess it's all tied into these Philadelphia Eagles. Deshaun Jackson, he was released by the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't know if you heard the story or not, but story came out now.
I heard something about Deshaun Jackson and and shenanigans, but I didn't really. Yeah. I don't know what happened. Tell me what happened.
I think the deal with him is they were looking to try and chop him anyway. They were trying, he was on the chopping block, and they were trying to find a way what they're going to do with him and what direction they're going, which is understandable. But then some blog or some report came out that he possibly had ties to some L.A. gangs. Well, he came from California. He went to high school in L.A. somewhere, and supposedly he was throwing gang signs in a picture for the Crips. Right? So this all came out, and the Philadelphia Eagles automatically cut him. They got him off the team. Well, the funny thing about this whole situation is it was an easy out for them, but in the same picture, he's wearing a blue hat. A red hat. Okay? Now, if you understand the gang situation.
When you brought up the thing about the gang, throwing the gang signs, I was about to say that if every single person who threw gang signs was actually in a gang, China's military would be outnumbered.
Oh, I know. What I'm saying is, in the aspect of him throwing these gang symbols, so to speak, which there's so many people. If you watch that show, Ridiculousness or whatever it is, it's like a show, where they show video clips or what have you. Rob Dietrich a skateboarder does a show, they have a person on the show called Chanel West Coast, and she does the West Coast sign, which is a gang sign.
Right.
Okay? Well, he's doing a similar gang sign or whatever, and they're trying to tie him to the Crip gang, but he's wearing a red hat. The Crips wear strictly blue. Because their main enemy or their main rival is called the Bloods.
And they
which wears red all the time. So why would he be throwing?
If a Crip gang member showed up to, you know, he could be very well known. If he showed up to one of their little functions or however they do it, wearing red, he'd run a really good chance of getting killed.
Look, if he had a red stripe on a pair of his underwear, he could be called out for it. This
and
guy's
the way they
wearing
wear
a red
their
hat
pants,
on the top of his head. Oh, yeah, exactly.
And the way they wear their pants. Yeah.
But anyway, that whole Deshaun Jackson thing, and everybody's talking about it. Well, is there going to be a team that picks him up because now there's controversy? You know what? The guy's a great receiver. You know what? And me as a Miami Dolphin fan, I'd love to have him on the team. Hell yeah. I mean, we just added, speaking of the Dolphins, the name lives on. Starting next year, the name lives on. A little different spelling, maybe a little slightly different pronunciation, but there will be another Moreno in a Dolphins jersey.
I'm definitely down with that.
I am too. No Sean Marino, who actually, I mean, I understand he had a couple down years, but last year he was producing. You don't know Sean?
I don't know Sean Marino. Do you?
But you know what? Look, man, this is going to be great for us. I mean, we already have two backs there. I'm sure one of these two backs are going to leave, and it'll go take a little camp time to see which is going to be the best to fill in the 1-2 punch with no Sean. But I really think this is a big step for the Dolphins. I really think it'll help out Tannehill to get out to these receivers that we have. So, I mean,
well,
it's a plus.
That an offensive line.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, let's not.
Well, the good thing with having, well, I know we're going to get off football here in just a second. But you know what? The one good thing with having a 1-2 punch in the back and having a couple good receivers, your offensive line doesn't have to be as strong.
Well,
it has to be strong, don't get me wrong here. But, I mean, it just gives you time to – go ahead.
4 words for you. Ricky Williams, Ronnie Brown. When the Dolphins
I got 2 words for you. I got 2 words for you. Barry Sanders. That's something good. Look, you could have just had a quarterback hand him the ball and nobody in front of him to block for him, and he'd have done fine.
Well, that's basically what he had because he was with the Lions.
I know. I mean, I'm just telling you. So it'd be nice to have that little, extra kick in the backfield. But anyway, let's move off of football before people think that we're just a football show.
Well, we're better than a lot of the shows that I've heard on Blog Talk.
We do what we can do, right?
A lot of the sports shows, that is.
Hey, well, you know what?
Don't get me wrong, Blog Talk people. There's some really good ones out there, but I've heard some where it just sounds like they're reading off a screen. Ryan Tannehill threw 3 touchdown passes for 237 yards with 1 interception. I mean,
I guarantee there's a computer program that does that because I know there's one that does it for the weather because that's what happens. The National Weather Service has spotted a severe thunderstorm. But
dude, that's the guy that does it on Blog Talk.
It's the weatherman. Anyway.
We have a thunder.
That is so funny. But anyway, man, so what else is going on with the news this week? Once again, that airplane hadn't been found yet.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that when they actually find the damn thing.
I mean, they thought they found pieces. They found 300 pieces floating in the ocean, and they go out to the ocean, they're finding fishing buoys, and I mean, they say, oh, this one's orange. Okay, the plane had orange in it. No, that's a buoy. I mean, that's not part of an airplane. Last time I checked, planes don't have buoys.
No, unless it's a cargo plane transporting some.
Or a water, you know.
Yeah.
Where the hell did that freaking plane go?
Did you hear that noise?
What noise?
You didn't just hear... Oh, okay. I don't know what you just said for the past 20 seconds or so, because all I heard was just like this fax machine type thing. Like maybe the NSA is watching me because I didn't sign up for Obamacare or something. But
yeah. I actually tried to last night.
But you couldn't get on the site, could you?
No, I got on the site, but it was like, just wait and give me your email address and this, that, and the other thing, and I got tired and fell asleep, and so now I'm going to have to pay a damn fine. Yeah,
well, the fine will cost you a hell of a lot less than the policy would.
Yeah, but I still don't have insurance. It's actually, look, man, I've talked to people on both sides of it. I understand. You know what? I'm not saying it's the answer, but for a lot of people, it's okay. It's okay. It's not that bad. The way that the way it's set up isn't as bad as people think. I mean, 7 million people signed up yesterday on it.
But yeah, there's
70 million, something like that.
The number was 7 million. There's a lot of people calling shenanigans on it. Hey!
Well, yeah, call it what you will. Look at that. You just tied something in there. Good job there, buddy.
I did. I made a funny. Anyway, we can have, I mean, I'm going to do a political show one of these days, you know, like on another night of the week or whatever, so that's not the official one.
You know, actually, we could do that one night on our show right there. We'll just call it out. We'll give them 2 weeks in advance, you know, get your ducks in a row if you want to call and talk to us, be ready to roll with this, and because me and you have slightly different political beliefs.
Slightly. Listen, I'm more like Ted Nugent, and you're more like Sean Penn.
Careful. Yeah. I've never hit a woman in my life, Madonna.
What?
Sean Penn beat up Madonna when they were married.
Oh, that's
Remember
right.
that?
That's right.
Thanks for playing.
I don't follow the lives of those nitwits.
You know it.
Or knuckleheads.
Anyway, let's talk about tonight's show a little bit right now. Tonight's show, we got a guy from L.A. coming on, man. His name's Chris Sestric. Guitar player, songwriter. He's got a degree in music from Berkeley. Been in the music business. Do what?
Berkeley School of Music in Boston.
Right. And, I mean, went out to L.A. originally from Pennsylvania, from what I understand here, and we're going to get on the phone with him and talk about where he's going with his music, what's going on, what it's like to play the scene in L.A., because, you know, that's one of those big towns. You think about New York and L.A., even Nashville, Atlanta to an extent. These are big music towns.
Central Florida.
Well, you know what? Yeah, Central Florida's big, but it's not like L.A. I mean, right. You can go to Orlando, Florida, and you could play a couple clubs there on Orange Avenue or, you know, even the outskirts right there. But you're not playing the Sunset Strip.
True.
You know, back it's not the Motley Crue, Skid Row. You know what I'm talking about.
Well, back in the day, there was a club on right there on Orange Ave called Jeannie Lane's Sunset Strip, and that was an awesome club. I saw Doc in there.
Oh, absolutely it was. I mean. But anyway, I mean, that's what we're going to be doing tonight. We're going to be talking with him and talking about his, you know, escapades and the music and how he got out to L.A. and all that kind of stuff. It's going to be a very interesting show there. What else you got, Bill?
We'll have him on in probably about 10 minutes or so. Now, one thing that, you know, the big elephant in the room here is what is today?
Today is April Fool's Day.
Hey, April Fools!
That's right.
Well, to start off this little bit about the April Fool's thing, actually my son, he's 12 years old. He's in the 6th grade. He come home today, and his teacher actually did a pretty good job today messing with the kids. They had been out at lunch or recess or what so have you, and they're coming back in the room, right? And a couple of kids were being a little loud, being a little rowdy or whatever. Well, she immediately writes 3 sentences on the chalkboard, right? I don't know exactly what they were, but they were 3 sentences. And he said it was almost a paragraph. And she goes, you know what? You guys want to be unruly? You guys want to talk and make a bunch of noise? Write this 50 times. Well, one kid said, what? She goes, I'll make it 100. Another kid asked, she goes, oh, you want to make noise too? We'll make it 200. Another kid goes, we can't. She said, make it 300. Everybody shut up and started writing. She let them write for about 5 minutes. She's like, I'm just kidding with you, April Fools.
Nice.
And I was like, you know what? For a 6th grade class, that was a pretty good trick with the teacher right there.
Yeah, that was. One time, this is years ago, I rented a room in a house with some other people, and there was one of my roommates, worked odd hours where he wasn't home and everything, and we had this deal where every single week, I would, he would give me $5, and I would play $5 in the lottery. And around April Fool's one time, he was out of town. So what I did was I took the $10 and I bought those tickets for real. However, the next day after the drawing, I took another $10 out of my wallet and bought another ticket. One of the numbers, of course, having the winning numbers from the night before.
Recorded.
And I gave them, I gave the numbers to him. I said I haven't had a chance to look at these, and I started to head out the door after I gave them to him. He's like, thanks. Next thing I know, I hear him flipping out. Oh my God, we won! We won! We're rich! Blah 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 blah. And he's jumping up and down and everything. And I said, April Fool. He's like, what? I said, take a look at the date on that. He was.
Well, it's a great April Fool's joke, but it's been done by people. I mean, I've heard of that before. Also, the one with the where you can buy the fake scratch off.
Oh yeah.
With the 3 10,000s on there, and people freak out. Okay, I've got one for you. This is the best April Fool's joke ever. You know me, Will, and I've been in the restaurant business my whole life.
Yes.
And been a bartender for the better part of the last 20 years. Mm-hmm. Well, I was working at a bar in Orlando, which was right by the Civic Center. So we had a couple big civic events that would come through there, like Surf Fest was a real big one. And then we had the PGA come through. Well, during that time, we carried 2 very expensive liquors there. One's Johnny Walker Blue, which, I mean, is fairly expensive. It was like $40 a shot. We also carried a cognac there called Hennessy Paradise. Excuse me. Well, during one of these conventions, the other bartender that I worked with, and he'd been there for about 6-7 years and was, pretty good with the, GM. They were in there together pretty well, good friends or whatever. Well, he emptied this bottle of Hennessy Paradise and saved the bottle. April Fool's Day, he brought the bottle back in with anybody knowing and filled it up with iced tea.
Same color.
Now, if you've ever seen cognac or a brown liquor, it very much looks like iced tea. Well, proceeding to put it on the shelf as we're setting the bar up, he picks an argument with the GM. When she starts getting rowdy with him, he picks the bottle up off the shelf, in front of God and everybody. She loses her ever-loving mind because this is a $500 bottle of liquor right here. He grabs his bag and walks out the front door. Says, I quit. She totally freaks out. She's running around the restaurant. This is right before we open. Like, I can't believe he did that, da-da-da-da-da, using words that I can't use on the radio. Well, about 2 minutes later, he walks back in the door, and she goes, what are you doing back in here? He's like, I forgot something. She's like, what'd you forget? He's like, oh, it's April Fool's. That was iced tea. Anyway, have a nice day. And went back behind the bar, and we cleaned it up. And she was steaming, man. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. One of the greatest April Fool's jokes I've ever seen.
What another one that I did, I mean, I can't top that one. But one time I was working for this barbecue restaurant in Merritt Island, Florida. You know which one I'm talking about.
I do know.
And you know, this is when I was like 15 years old. And I mean, I didn't even drink yet. But on April Fool's Day April 1st happened to fall on a Sunday, and you know this year in particular, and there was this huge party coming in. It was, you know, they were going to take up half the restaurant, and they were going to be there like 8 o'clock in the morning or something. It was like a pre-church group or something. But she, you know, the manager, the owner's wife, told everybody, it's like, you will not call in. If you call in, you're going to be fired, blah, blah, blah. Well, I was the dishwasher working there, and when I got to work that morning, there's a payphone outside. So I called the number, and I asked to speak with her. She gets on the phone. She's like, "Where are you, Bill?" And I said, "I don't know what happened." I said, "I got really smashed drunk last night, and I'm in Atlanta. I have no idea how I got here." And she starts getting all mad, like, "What are we going to do? We don't have you're fired, blah, 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 blah." You know, and then I walked in, and she happened to be right there at the front desk as you walk in.
Front door, yeah.
I said, "April Fool!" Oh, I thought she was gonna kill me, fire me anyway.
Yes, and I know exactly who you're talking about. Okay, I mean, excuse me. Okay, but anyway.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, and I've seen some good ones here and there, but I mean, as I said, the best one was that $500 bottle of liquor, and it was just perfect timing.
How much? This is kind of off topic, but how much does a drink with that in it cost?
$50 a shot.
Wow.
The Johnny Walker Blue was $40 a shot. It was $50 a shot, which I thought was crazy. Now, another story here, if you want to find something hilarious. The way the bar was set up, it was set up in an L shape. Mm-hmm. Now, when you walk in the door, the short part of the L was facing the front of the building, the long part of the L along the side wall. Well, during one of these conventions, we're busy as can be, and the bar's full, and the beer taps were on the short part of that L. Well, I'm sitting there, and I'm pouring some beers, and, you know, because you have to make those for the servers and everything. And there was one empty bar stool in front of the beer taps. Well, me and my buddy, his name was Patrick, we're standing there, and we hear somebody go, "Hey, can I get a drink?" We both are looking around and don't see anybody. Nobody's looking at us. Nobody's talking to us. So as we're still working, doing our thing. I'm pouring 3 beers at this time, so I'm in the middle of pouring the first one when the first time you hear it. I'm pouring the second one, and once again, hey. Patrick, who is standing next to me, who wasn't pouring any beers at the time, looks over the bar. There is a midget, and I kid you not, like mini-me. He might have been 2.5 feet tall. Is trying to climb up on this bar stool, and he looks at him and goes, "Whoa!" and walks away. And I'm sitting there trying to pour the rest of this beer without busting out laughing. It was the most uncomfortable situation I've ever been in my entire life right there.
That's funny.
And that's not an April Fool's joke. That was for real.
Yeah,
and they're magically delicious.
With that, I mean, our guest is on the line, so we're going to go ahead.
Well, all right, let's go ahead and bring him in. 10:30.
And we're gonna play one of his songs, and then bring him in. The song is by Sestric, and it's called Just Want You, and we'll be right back with Chris Sestric just in a few minutes on the Will and Thunder Show.
You got some big shot, more thrill. No, you wouldn't be solicited if your soul is satisfying you. Honey, it's been so long, I understand your hesitation. Yeah, but you started something and I'm just following through. You can't leave this punk on, I've got way too much fun. I've been sleepless at night. Since you've been on my mind, you deserve better anytime you broke free. Don't you worry, find out, and don't you worry about me, because I don't care what you'll say or do, because I just want you. Yeah, I just want you. I just want you. Taking you for granted when you're by my side. You got a lot to lose, and so do I. Anything I will for is on the line. But you don't care what I'll say or do, because I just want you. Yeah, I just want you. I just want you.
Thank you. Good choice for the opening song.
Everybody there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. I don't know, we're having some technical difficulty or something, but I don't know if Will's there or not. But anyway, well, hey, man, that's a great song, brother.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much. What do you want me to call you? I mean, you go by Thunder. What do you want me to?
Thunder's fine. Thunder will be perfect, man. Kevin Thunder, just call me Thunder, man. Everybody calls me the Thunder Midget.
All right, cool. Good to meet you.
Well, man, welcome into the show, man. You're hailing from L.A. these days?
I've been out here for about 8 years. Originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Lived in Boston for a bit as well. And, it's been about 8 years living in L.A.
That's awesome. And you're got a degree in music from Berkeley.
Yes, I did, yeah.
That's awesome, man. Music's been a part of my life, man, since I can remember. My uncle's got a degree in music, too. He's a songwriter, composer, and he's got a master's out of Manhattan School of Music. He's been doing it a long time, man. Yeah. You ever heard of the band called Blood, Sweat, and Tears?
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, definitely.
My uncle was one of their founding members. But my respect for you as a music major, and it is unbelievable, man.
Cool, man. Thank you so much.
No problem. So you said you're originally from Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, man. One of the first guys.
Since you're talking about football and everything, I have to give a shout-out to my Steelers and everything. So I'm a hardcore Steelers fan.
Right on. My older brother is a huge Steelers fan. As a matter of fact, before we moved down to Florida, back in the day, we lived in Wheeling, West Virginia, which is right across the bridge from Pittsburgh right there. And my older brother is a diehard Pittsburgh fan.
Cool. Yeah, we're pretty intense. But
absolutely.
You guys got Mike Wallace now, so are you happy with him?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, we're still in the building stages right here. And as we were talking earlier, we picked up Sean Marino recently in this free agency. So, it's going to open everything up right there. And hopefully Tannehill is the answer. It's nice to have someone with a name similar to Marino in a Dolphins jersey again.
Right. Cool. So Will has disappeared, huh? It's no longer there.
I guess so. I mean, we're still on air, so he's got to be there somewhere. I don't know what's going on with maybe it's his microphone or something is cut out. But I'm willing to go ahead and run with this anyway. We'll get this going. But
sure.
So you guys are playing out in L.A. or you're playing out in L.A. now. This is a band that you put together. It's got your name on there, the Sestric.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, it's basically I've always been kind of an independent artist, but I've also in between have played with lots of different bands as well. Sestric kind of came about. I've been working on this record, something about the snake. It started a long time ago, actually, and every time I would start it, I would end up joining another band and then put the project aside while I concentrated with the band that I was with currently. And so it took a long time to develop, but I finally finished the record. It's not brand new. It actually came out in late 2011, so it's been out for a while now. But so I'm happy, being a solo artist and just learning the ropes of the new online, digital, do-it-yourself sort of marketing and everything. So
yeah, it's amazing. I mean, I don't know exactly how old you are, but
I'm 32.
32? Well, I'm 40, and when I was playing, when I was younger and you were coming up in music, you had paper that you printed on, you put it on telephone poles and handed it out to people. It's so amazing these days of how you can go into the studio or even in your own house and, upload some recording software and throw some stuff together and get it out so easily.
Right.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes, are you there?
Yeah, finally. The damn board wouldn't. I kept clicking my microphone to go live, and it kept throwing me back on hold.
Well, welcome back, Will. Why don't you say hello to Chris Sestric right there?
What's going on, man? It's like I bring you on, and all of a sudden...
Yeah, I heard you, introducing me on or something, and then I didn't hear you anymore, so...
Well, the same thing, it kind of... It kicked me off, too, and I had to come back in, so... Well, now that we're all here, let's talk about some music, man.
Yeah. That was weird.
Hey,
I was able to hear you guys.
That's Blog Talk Radio's way of April Foolsing us right there. They're like, oh, you think you can do this? April Fools. Yeah, we're going to keep hitting the button.
Hey, April Fools!
Couldn't resist.
All right, now that we're done,
All right,
Chris,
so
I'm going to warn you. I'm going to warn you right now, Chris. My co-pilot here loves pushing buttons and loves sound effects.
All right.
So just give him some time here, all right?
That's fine. Totally fine. Happy April Fools. I have a question. What was the post on the Facebook thing about Lizzie Hale? Was that the April Fool's thing, or what was that?
That was the April Fool's thing right there, absolutely. Thanks for catching on to that.
When I first saw it, I thought that was an April Fool's thing. I actually posted it. I wasn't sure because no one's really followed up with it or anything, but I thought it was real, and then I realized, obviously at the start of the show, it wasn't happening.
We're sorry to break that to you.
No worries.
I tried. I was sending messages to every female on my Facebook page, trying to get them to call in and pretend to be Lizzie Hale. But surprisingly enough, none of the women that actually got back to me in time, like before the show started, none of them had even heard of Hailstorm. So I'm starting to wonder, is Hailstorm just one of those bands that only guys like because it has a sexy chick that shreds on the guitar and screams like, Sebastian Bach did in his prime?
She has that's exactly right. I mean, her voice is just like super incredible. I mean, I think she's a top female singer in the hard rock and roll genre right now. So, yeah, she's awesome.
Okay, and then we're talking about, all right, let's change the subject for just 1 second. Who, in your opinion, is the hottest woman in rock and roll? I mean, of all time.
Of all time?
Of all time.
Oh, geez. I'd have to think about that a little bit. I can tell you my favorite singer is vocal-wise. It would definitely be Janis Joplin. But
absolutely. She
would be my all-time favorite. I can tell singers off the place I really like listening to. Who I think the hottest is? Jesus, I can't. I can't.
Currently, I'd have to go.
Mine's easy. I'm a bass player, and I think. And I can't think of her name on the top of my head right now, but the bass player for Rob Zombie.
Okay.
She was the hottest ever.
You said singer.
No, I said musician. Did I say singer? I meant musician. My bad.
Well, actually...
Let my brain get ahead of me again. There I go, talking with my mind not working.
Since we're going musicians, and Chris has probably seen this band, I think that the Iron Maidens would probably have something for everybody.
Yeah, I think so. I'm familiar with them, but
you're not? You're in LA.
I am familiar. I said I am familiar with them. I've seen them before.
Oh, okay.
But I can't. I'm just drawing a blank right now. He's asked me who I think the highest is. I just can't. Really think of like a name right now. Pops into my head.
Yeah, it's kind of like asking me, like if somebody asks me, well, what covers do you know? I instantly draw a blank.
Yeah, but I mean, I can totally name female singers that I like. Beth Hart was one of them. I think is amazing. But
the guitar player from Vixen.
From Vixen?
Yeah, Roxy Petrucci, I think is her name.
That's kind of obscure. I haven't looked at them for a while. But,
and then you got to throw in there another hottie, Jenna from the Jenna Torches, just because she's crazy. And that's old school right there. Yeah. Anyway.
So tell us about how old were you when you made the trip out to LA? How'd that all come about and everything?
Yeah, so I graduated college, and then I majored in writing and film scoring, contemporary writing, and production. And after I graduated, I actually moved back to Pittsburgh for a year. And lots of my friends from school moved directly out to LA. I moved home for a year, and I was actually writing music jingles for local companies while I was home, and had some minor success with that. I saved up some money, and then a year later, I came out here, and it was nice because when I came out, I had friends out here that kind of already had some working established gigs, and were able to help me out and help me get around. So I was 23 when I moved out here, and so that was about 8 years ago. It was right before, after Halloween of 2005. So I've been out here for a while now, and that answered the question, I think. So yeah, basically after school, I came out here, and I
drove. Get out to LA and get your feet wet in the real world, right there. I mean,
right.
As you said, you did some what you said, jingles and commercials and stuff like that in Pennsylvania.
Yeah. I was doing talking to local businesses and trying to see if they would consider a music jingle for their companies, and it was only a small percentage of it was actually doing music work. It was actually more sales work than doing music stuff. But it paid pretty decently doing it whenever I got the gigs and everything, and it was kind of cool because there was a period where I could turn on during lunchtime every day on the radio and hear one of my jingles playing. Which is cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I know, it's actually really cool, man. I also saw, I looked you up online right there, and you've done some movie work too, haven't you?
Yeah, I mainly as an assistant to, because I majored in film scoring, and so when I came out here, I was working, lots of my friends were working as assistants, so some fairly well-known film composers, and so yeah, they hooked me up with some gigs right off the bat, and then I ended up getting a job at a music agency that represented a lot of film composers, and I worked there for about 2 years. And through that, I would get every once in a while I'd get some odd jobs doing transcriptions, some technical work as far as programming synthesizers and programming fake orchestral stuff to sound real, that type of thing. So. Yeah, I did that, and then did that for a couple of years, and then basically I got the itch. I never went away. I just kind of put it aside for a while. It was just I wanted to get back out and start playing again, and focus on just playing rock and roll. That was really what my heart was focused on. So I kind of completely left that scene and went and just started playing in bands and playing shows and now I'm slowly starting to get back into writing and trying to get music license for film stuff, and things might start to open up here as far as me actually writing music for film as well. While I still concentrate on doing the band and artist stuff too. But that was something I always felt like I could always do, and I wanted to get the playing and gigging around LA. I wanted to get that out of my system while I was younger.
That's very cool, man. So what's it like, man?
I'm gonna have to stay in touch with you because I'm working on something that I'm gonna need somebody on the inside to kind of help me if I ever expect it to see something other than a circular file.
Right. Well, it's tough. I'm still trying to work my way in as well. So, but yeah, absolutely, we'll definitely stay in touch. What was your question, Thunder?
I mean, you think about bands like Motley Crue, Skid Row, and some of these bands that played, that's circular right there in L.A., the Sunset Strip and all that. What's it like to be out there and be a part of that right now? I mean, it's got to be so exhilarating. And
for me, that was one of the big things for me because, I love Motley Crue, I love Guns N' Roses, and I just love the stories of the Sunset Strip and everything. That to me was a big deal, and playing venues on the Sunset Strip were it's still really cool, but it was playing similar stages and hanging out at the Rainbow Bar and Grill and being a part of that scene and being this is where my idols broke out from, that's where they started at, and so yeah, it is amazing. It is. For me, it's super cool, and it still is. It was even a bigger deal when I first, started playing out and around LA. To be man, my Motley Crue played this stage or whatever, it's just it was a big deal.
Right.
It was awesome.
But then it develops more to what you're doing on that stage, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, the Sunset Strip to me is like, it's still really cool, but it is kind of a novelty where it's like it's kind of living off of its reputation from the past, as opposed to like really bringing out lots of new talent, in my opinion.
Okay.
Not to like, you know, I love it and everything, but
not to degrade it by any means, but you know, it is. You know, a lot of those clubs are living off. You know, Motley Crue played here, and Skid Row played here, and you know,
exactly.
These bands.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, so tell me a little bit about the LA scene right now, where you guys are playing. Are you guys playing on the Strip? Are you guys playing in the Valley? Are you guys? I mean.
Yeah.
What's it like for you?
Right now, I have not been playing. I'm working on new music, and I'm going to get out there soon. But you know, back in 2 years prior ago, I was much more of a scenester, and pretty much played everywhere around the Sunset Strip, and then also in the Valley, and then also there's some venues down like on Venice, going towards the beach area of Santa Monica that are cool to play at as well. And it's ever changing. It's like one of the places that I've played at with one of my bands I had my longest tenure with out here, The Resistance, a place called the Cat Club, which was a really cool little venue on the Sunset Strip right next to the Whiskey A Go-Go. Like that was, I played there like 1 billion times, but now it no longer exists. It's something else now. So like, I've been here long enough to see things like kind of come and go and change and transform, and the scenes kind of change from year to year kind of too. And
yeah, I mean, everything's going to evolve, absolutely. I mean, as music does, I mean.
And as we saw with the 90s, not always for the better.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, how would you rate the music scene where you're at right now? I mean, when you had your ideas of going out to California, going out to L.A., and, is it what you thought it was going to be, or is it different now?
It's pretty much what I thought it was going to be. I haven't ventured out to some of the other meccas, like as far as Austin and even maybe Nashville, and then also New York. I haven't been really explored the New York scene since I lived in Boston. But it's still the place to be if you want to strike something bigger than being a local hometown hero kind of a thing,
Right.
I still
get off college radio.
Right, and I live smack in the middle of Hollywood, and pretty much everybody I walk by, all my neighbors, are either actors or musicians, and like I don't know how many areas you can live in. Kind of like that, To
have that kind of network right there.
And that kind of network and just that kind of vibe where it's like everybody kind of gets you and like understands you're an artist and trying to be, what you want to be basically, and they don't look when it's I think like where I'm from in Pittsburgh. I think when I was in my early 20s, I felt like I was too old to like be playing in a rock and roll band, almost like trying to make it kind of a thing. And but when I moved out here, it was kind of a different scenario. It's like people kind of understand you have to work your way through it and make your connections and plug away at it, and one day eventually your day will come, basically, Yeah.
So what is well, we just lost Thunder. Everything's going weird with this thing tonight. He'll be back. I'm sitting here watching my computer. I'm surprised it hasn't dropped the show. I mean, I'm bouncing back and forth. My internet is bouncing on and offline, but apparently, the show is staying on, apparently. I'm going to have to go back and listen to the archive footage of this. Here's Thunder again. Let's bring him back on. I did have another question. Speaking of Thunder.
Hello there.
Okay.
I am back again. Sorry about it. You caught me right in the middle of it. Look, I really think that there's a guy that works for Blog Talk Radio right now that is cutting us off.
That has a sports show.
And that's a joke. Oh, yeah. Do you see what happens? Watch your mouth, son. But anyway, I'm back here, and I'm sorry about that, guys. And look, I'm telling you, this has been the craziest it's ever been. I mean, we've had an issue here and there, but that's nuts.
Well, I've never gotten bumped off the show, so that was a first.
Look, tomorrow you're going to need an email that's going to say April Fools, and be like, you know what? I'll give my money back. You some anyway.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask for a free month after this. I mean, for all they know, I could have Yngwie Malmsteen on the line with me right now.
We've got better than Yngwie, because Yngwie, look, he may be able to play guitar, but he's an asshole.
So.
You remember him?
I've always heard bad stories about him. I never met him personally.
We met him at outside of a club in Melbourne, Florida, and he was just a douche, man. Didn't want to talk to nobody. I'm like, look, man, I know you can play guitar, but guess what? You were found in the middle of nowhere in a hotel room playing guitar or whatever, and, you know, there's a kid in a garage or a barn that's doing the same thing that you can do. So I'm just like, whatever, man.
Yeah,
Chris, I have a question. Do you know Thunder's cousin? What's her name, Thunder?
Shauna Halligan.
No, I don't think so.
She's played a lot around L.A. Actually, she's overseas now, but she played with a band called Bittersweet, and then now she's doing her own solo project. But yeah, my uncle was real big in L.A. for a long time, especially with commercials. He did a lot of commercials for Mattel, and I can't even explain it. I mean, as I said, he was a founding member of Blood, Sweat, and Tears, and I remember when I was a kid. This is way before your time. I mean, you got 10 years less than I do. God bless you. But he did a lot of stuff for Mattel and Barbie and stuff like that, and the same stuff you're doing. I mean, he worked his way through there. He started out right out of his music school with Blood, Sweat, and Tears, and they had a good run for about 10 years, and after that, he went and did movies and commercials and wrote his own symphony and all that, you know.
Very cool.
Oh, that's awesome. And that's like, you know, I respect you so much because you have a degree in music. I never got that far. I actually checked out a music school out in L.A. when I graduated high school, which is called the Grove School of Music, and I don't even know if it's still there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, it's not. But to be honest, that was a really popular school, and actually lots of my professors at Berkeley, they did study there, too. That was, like, I think when you came out to L.A., like, that was, like, one of the, if you wanted to be a professional writer, that was, like, one of the top things to be going to at that time. And
yeah, my uncle took me there, and I was just about to turn 18 when I graduated high school, and I went out there and spent 2 weeks with him, and he took me to the Grove School of Music, and I met their bass instructor, and his name was Joel Diabarlo.
Yeah.
This guy was ridiculous, man. Older guy. I mean, I was 18 at the time. He was probably late 40s, early 50s, and I had a PV Foundation bass guitar at that time, which is one of the best basses I've ever had sound-wise. The action was perfect. Loved this guitar. And we were sitting there, and we're talking. He's like, what kind of music do you listen to? And I told him, you know, at that time, I was like, oh, I like listening to The Rat and this kind of thing, but I also like funk bass. I like slapping and this and that thing. And he pulled out a pair of wire cutters from his desk and clipped the strings off my bass right there in front of me. He's like, pink, 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 and put a set of Dean Markley Golds on my bass, stretched them out, and he's playing around a little bit. And he's doing scales and stretching them out. He's like, oh, so you like slap bass? Now, this, to me, at that time, was an old man. I'm like, whatever. I mean, you know, I'm listening to the Chili Peppers, and, you know, he started slapping on that bass, and he made love to that son of a bitch. And I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And I was decent at the time. I've gotten a lot better since then because listening to him and listening to people like Louis Johnson and real bass players, and I was just like, I'm just looking at him, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go home, and I'm going to jump off the bed and impale myself on the neck of this thing because there's no way I'll ever be able to play this thing like you do.
Yeah.
And it was just totally amazing to me to be around, like, true, tried musicians who understood, you know, theory and sound. And you know what? They throw theory out if it sounded good at the time. And I'm like, wow, man, this guy's amazing. But, yeah, that was my experience at the Grove School of Music right there. and I'll never forget the rest of my life.
I don't know what happened with the school, what the deal was, but I have met people that study there, like lots of professional writers. I don't know from a performance standpoint as far as like learning for majoring in instruments, but as far as I know lots of professional writers that study there, and it was like one of the top programs at the time, I think, 20 or so plus years ago, 20 or 30 years ago.
That would be about the time, it's been about, 20 years ago. That's when I graduated high school, 23 years ago. No, it was 23 for me. You failed a year, Cupcake. Anyway.
Hey,
but
Chris, in honor of tonight's show being, probably technically speaking, one of the worst that we've done, if not the worst, technically speaking, as far as the technical aspect of it. Content-wise, it's one of the better ones. But
well, thank you.
Could you tell us about your Spinal Tap moment, since this show is being a technical Spinal Tap moment from start to finish here? It seems like
a catastrophe on stage.
I'm sorry.
Exactly.
Okay.
Hold on. I have an intro. I have an intro for that.
All right, go ahead. I told you.
These go to 11. You can't press that.
Spinal Tap. 1 second.
What's wrong with being sexy?
He died. He died in a bizarre gardening accident. Thousands of people spontaneously combust each year.
Hello, Cleveland! Hello, Cleveland!
That's fun.
Cool. So,
Chris, I warned you.
Okay.
I warned you that he was happy on the trigger right there.
No worries, no problem.
I apologize for both of us right now, but
Thunder,
tell us a little bit about some. You really?
So,
tell us a little bit about some of the moments you had. Where exactly when you're on stage and everything's going fine, and there's that moment right there.
There's always like there's always something seems to always go funky with, at least at one point in a set, often enough something weird goes wrong, so like at least a split second or something. But I have several thoughts that kind of come to mind. But I remember I used to do a weekend show my first year in Boston. I used to play with like a cover band sort of a thing. Every Saturday night I used to play this gig, and I didn't used to ever drink, and I never drank and played before or anything like that. So we were doing sake shots before the show, and that stuff hit me way faster than I thought it did. And so I played the complete show. I played completely hammered, and I thought I played the best I ever played in my life. I left that night, and that whole week, like the next show the following week, I thought I played the best I ever played, and I was thinking, oh man, I have to get wasted every time I play. I was so amazing. And then I came into the next week, and everybody was like, dude, you were so horrible last week. You could not stay in tune. You could not play a damn thing. You were funny, but you could not play anything. That was horrible. And I was completely shocked by that.
Had that moment. One time we played a show, and Will was in the same band. He was a singer, and I was a bass player. Well, everybody had to work that day, so I had to load all the equipment in. I got there about 4 o'clock in the afternoon and started loading the equipment in and setting everything up, and I was setting the sound and all that. And they had just got this new stuff there, which is popular now around the country, but it was new 20 years ago. It was apple cider, hard cider.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I start drinking this hard cider, and it's going down like apple juice. I'm like, yeah. Well, I'm setting everything up, and everything's fine at 4 o'clock, and everything's fine at 6 o'clock. Well, 8 o'clock comes around, and I'm starting to get a little, okay, I feel good. Come 10 o'clock when we hit the stage, I'm a bass player. My fingers stopped working.
Right.
I did everything I could to try and finish the show, they started a mosh pit in front of the stage. I jumped off the stage with a 25-foot cord into a mosh pit.
Mm-hmm.
With all these kids moshing and tried to keep going. I couldn't play as it was, so I figured, why not?
At least you were aware of it. At least you were aware that you weren't playing your best show, or were not capable of playing it, right?
At that point, I wasn't aware of that. Well,
okay.
After the show, another band came on after us, and I went in the mosh pit, and I got my eye cut open in the mosh pit. And the next day I woke up, and I'm like, I thought everything was cool. And I'm like, yeah, I jumped over the stage, and I've got a cut in my eye. And they're like, no, don't you ever do that again. I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
if you want to be in this band, don't you do that again. I'm like, okay, fine.
I mean, we all drank. I mean, it wasn't like, but we just didn't, I mean, none of us had ever gotten hammered on stage before.
Oh, yeah. This had, I got
later on.
Before we went on. It was horrible.
Well, later on, I mean, in the next band that I was in after that, that band kind of had a very wild reputation to it. I mean, and I had my moment like that too, when I was basically, I was surprised I could even stand up, let alone.
You were done like dinner.
Yeah, and the drummer of that band told me, the next day, he's like, you ever do that again, I quit, and we practice at my house. So,
well, but anyway, all right, so let's get back to point here real quick, because Chris, you came on the show not just to shoot the shit, but let's talk a little bit about your album right here.
Sure.
Where people can find your album, a little bit about what was behind you writing the album. I mean, tell me a little bit about it, man.
Cool, man. Yeah, the record's like it's a long record. It's like to me, it's almost like two different records in one. There's half of it is kind of a more serious and sort of like an angry sort of vibe, and the other half is kind of a to me, the way I interpret it, is kind of just like tongue-in-cheek and sarcastic and kind of just a joke. Kind of my David Lee Roth sense of humor sort of a thing. Yes, so like I said, the record took a long time to finish because it was like kind of a side project while I was working with other bands, and the whole focus was I wanted to make a record that was basically the kind of music that I wanted to hear. I wasn't hearing any like real like rock and roll on the radio or anything, and I just wanted to make a record that I thought was going to be awesome. That kept true to like the kind of hard rock and roll sound that I grew up on, that I liked, that I loved, and so my goal was to make a pretty basic record with guitars.
People can enjoy. I mean, it's just tried and true rock and roll that you can kick back and enjoy yourself. It's not too hardcore, like getting the growls and all that, but getting some good guitar riffs. Get a little drums kicking in the background, get some good vocals, something that you can, when you listen to it, it lifts you up instead of, I mean, there's a lot of good music out there. I mean, especially when it comes to the rock and roll genre.
Of course.
I mean, but some of it gets you, like, all right, I'm ready to go punch somebody. And other music, like, I mean, you listen to Poison and you listen to bands like that, it's like, oh, man, look, get up. Let's just run around. Let's have fun.
Right.
Where do you put yourself?
Like as far as
your style, your sound. I mean,
the record to me is I simply clarified it as hard rock and roll, and it definitely has for me my favorite musical period. I mean, like where my musical influences lie, it's kind of that transition between the 80s and 90s. Like my all-time favorite band is Guns N' Roses, and then the Metallica and Skid Row, Motley Crue, a little bit more the more 80s glammy bands. I'm not so much into, like, I wouldn't say I'm a huge Poison fan or anything, but so I like kind of the more edgier band, and I also like that transition to the '90s where like Alice in Chains and Stone Temple Pilots kind of got big too. So, but I was for myself.
You named the 4 of my favorite bands from that era right there, and then when you throw in Alice in Chains in there, another one of my favorite bands of all times right there. Just the harmonies that they threw together, and they kind of brought the grunge thing back to rock and roll.
Mhm. Yeah,
that's one of the best bands of all times to me.
Yeah. I mean,
well, they weren't really grunge. I mean, Alice in Chains was a metal band that just happened to come out with all the rest of the grunge.
Right.
Well, I mean, you got Alice in Chains, you got Soundgarden, who was on like the verge right there of in between Nirvana and Alice in Chains. They were, Chris Cornell still had the screaming vocals like 80s style, 90s style, really rock band. I mean, he wasn't a raw kind of guy right there. So, I mean, but, Alice in Chains, ridiculous good. And then Guns N' Roses, I was lucky enough to see them and Metallica together in a show. And it was awesome. And Faith No More was a part of it. It was ridiculous. Faith No More, Guns N' Roses, and Metallica. And that's when, it was real good.
That's another band I love, Faith No More. I love Faith No More as well.
Yeah, Faith No More, I mean, does Faith No More get credit for really starting the whole rap rock fad?
I think to some extent, yeah, I think so, but not, I think also Anthrax takes some credit for that. And
thank you very much, I am the man.
Maybe I am the man.
Too. But, I mean, you could say Walk This Way with Aerosmith and Run DMC, but that happened, so that didn't really catch on the way it did when, Faith No More came out with Epic.
And
it didn't even really take off.
Throw the Chili Peppers in there too. At the beginning of the Chili Peppers, that was all rap rock, even though it wasn't exactly like rap. I mean, but that's what they did right there. Anthony Kiedis, before he really started singing, that's all he did was rapping. I mean, or just speaking fast. Call it what you will, but
right.
Yeah, I bet the girls loved him.
I never thought about that with the Chili Peppers, but you're right. It was kind of like rapping pretty much. He certainly.
I mean, everything he did was give it away now.
That's another one of my favorite records.
So I mean,
let's go ahead and play the next song, and this one. Which one do you want there, Chris? Out of Your League or Believe?
Let's say Believe for the end. Let's do Out of Your League.
That was exactly the way I had them. Was planning on doing it. I just wanted to see if we were on the same page. We are. Awesome.
Sure.
This is Out of Your League. Yeah. Before we do that, I mean, I just wanted to say to some of the listeners out there, pick this album up. I mean, there's some great songs on there. Especially he was talking about the tongue-in-cheek ones. There's a song on there called "If She Only Had a Brain."
Right.
What? I say that daily because I'm married.
Well, I think all married people do.
Anyway, let's go ahead and listen to this next song coming from Chris Sestric right here, and we'll be right back, guys.
Now, I'm not muting anybody, so just kind of be quiet. If you have to talk to somebody, just put the phone away.
Do what you got to do. That way you don't get that way you don't get cut off again when we come back.
Right. Well, this song is 2 minutes and 55 seconds long, so if you got to do something, be quick. So we'll be right back on the Will and Thunder Show.
We'll see you on the flip side.
I've had all that I can take of you. You've been walking through life without a clue. You don't realize what you're getting into. Wake up, boy. I've got the news for you. You're out of your league. You know, out of your league. And you're so out of your league. So go, boy. the league, and you're so out of your league. So go out, boy. You can't feel fire, you take my hand, you're such a foot, so easy, I got lots of pain, I got big skin, I think so much shit, I'll go in and do a lot more, do whatever I do, don't think again, all the time, don't feel so real alive, will never be, I'm headed down to my soul, out of your league, you're so out of your league, and you're so out of your league, so go out, boy, you better go out, boy, just go out, boy, because you must go out of your
All right, welcome back to the Rolling Thunder Show. That was Sestric, the song Out of Your League from his new album called Something About the Snake.
Right.
So,
cool, thank you.
Yeah, I like I like that one. I like the way it kind of goes, rolls back and forth. But just on this little side note, before we keep going, there was a friend of mine's band I'm going to give a shout out to back in the day. They do shows here and there, and I was part of this band briefly. I was like a frequent guest on their set. They're called Scurvy the Clown, and they had a song similar to the lyrical content of that, except it was a little more raw. It was called "I Can't Believe She Fucked That Loser."
Yeah.
Wait, what was that? What did you say?
The song was called "I Can't Believe." What?
You can't believe what?
The song was called "I Can't Believe She Fucked That Loser."
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah, they were a little raw right there back in the day, man. Scurvy the Clown, man. But anyway, man. So first of all,
this was less about a boy as far as a guy being out to it wasn't about like being out of league for a chick. It's more about coming to LA and like not knowing what you're getting yourself into, basically.
Well,
you're out of your realm,
Like welcome to the
exactly, kind of like that right there. But and it's got to be kind of disconcerting, when you first get there, man. And like we're from Central Florida and everything, but it would be the same thing. When I went out there to LA for a couple of weeks when I graduated high school, and I went and checked out that school, man, it's a totally different world out there, man.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. And to actually move out there, and you got your degree, but there's 100,000 people who have their degree out there.
Right.
It's a place to go once you have your degree, and to actually stand up and like I'm going to be a part of this. That takes some balls, man.
Yeah.
You're going to hit walls here and there and just have to keep going. It's really cool that you're still out there, You said 8 years you've been there, and you're still plugging away at it. That's awesome, man.
8 years. The thing that's made it more challenging is I've had lots of opportunities to be a working musician and artist, and working for other people and working within the scene. But doing Sestric, that's being an artist and trying to make a name for yourself, doing your own creation kind of a thing, and that makes it a hell of a lot more challenging. So.
Oh yeah, it's a totally different world than having a degree and be able to play guitar and then go to a lick for a commercial. Than putting yourself out there than it is to go sit on a stage and play your own music, because you're selling more than that there. It's easy enough to, not easy, don't get me wrong here, but to go, okay, well, all right, well, here's the product. You want this kind of music. This is what you need, so here's what I wrote for you.
Right.
It's not as harsh because you're not putting out your own product. At the end of the day, when they're looking at the commercial and they might enjoy the music, they're looking at L'Oreal, or they're looking at Maybelline, or they're looking at Mattel. Right. They're not thinking Chris Sestric. But when you go out on a stage and you've got your name as a headliner and you got a band behind you, it's you.
Right.
And that's a big difference.
Tell me a little bit about the name of the CD. Something about the snake. What's the story behind that?
Yeah, that's a good question. So there's actually lots of. I feel like when you say the word snake, it's just like it conjures so many different emotions. Some people think they're disgusting and like they don't like them, they think they're evil. Some people think they're really cool and beautiful, and so in that sort of regard, that's one element of it. And then also, snakes, like I think when they're out in the wild and they're in nature, they don't really travel together. They're not in packs. They don't be two snakes hanging out together. I don't think. Most of the time, they're pretty much a loner, sort of an animal. So the song is kind of like doing what I need to do on my own by whatever means, even though I have limited resources, which is like a reference to not having arms of a snake. They have limited resources, and so there's lots of different comparisons, and just that conjures lots of different emotions. I'm not really a huge. I'm not like in love with snakes, or I don't really want to have one as a pet or anything like that. So it has nothing to do with that. It creates so many different elements and dynamics as far as
the emotion it hits people.
Emotions, yeah, and just comparisons and metaphors, basically.
Absolutely, it's understood.
So when you put snake on the on the album cover, you're going to get an emotional response one way or another from just about everybody.
Right.
But
you put a rabbit on there, you're going to have 2 people that go, "Oh, he's cute." You put a snake on there, and you're going to have 100 people go, either "I really like that, that's cool as shit," or they're going to be like, "Oh, I don't like snakes."
Right.
I mean, and in rock and roll, you want both aspects right there anyway.
Right.
That was smart. That's smart.
Yeah, and the song, and I actually thought about singing that one too, because it's one of the most, to me, it's lyrically my favorite, but it's like 8 minutes long, the song, so that's why I didn't send it over. But that one, like I think it's certainly the most self-introspective, and the snake, I use the term snake just as a metaphor, and it was certainly my most thought out lyrically song on the record, I think.
Well, real quick, while we're doing this, we're going to play one more song before we leave tonight, probably to close the show. But how can the listeners get a hold of your music? I mean, we're only playing 3 songs tonight, and I know that you have much more than that. So, I mean, can they find you on Reverb Nation? Is there a way that they can go to a website and buy a CD? Or, just throw that out there where people can hear, where they can get some Chris Sestric.
I am on Reverb Nation, but please don't message me through it because I don't log on there hardly ever. But my website first is the main place to go. You'll find all the links there that will take you to wherever you need to go. It's www.sestric.com. And then if you want links to buy the record, it's cdbaby.com/Sestric. If you want to buy it on iTunes, you can just search Sestric on iTunes. My website will take you to those links too. So.
Another question right here. I mean, we've got a group that we've kind of come in contact with, and they're also from Pennsylvania. And they're a bunch of kids, man. They're 16, 17-year-old kids, and we found them kind of by accident, and they're just starting music right now. They just got a band together, and they've kind of, switched their lineup up a little bit here and there. But as us being new into the radio business, we decided to take them on and kind of watch them grow.
Mm-hmm.
And as a fellow Pennsylvanian who knows the music scene there, what would you tell them right now? What does it take to get from where you're at right now to where when you started? How old were you when you started this whole journey with music? What got you into it, and what carried you through?
Just being gifted with a guitar for Christmas when I was 12 years old was like the thing that started it all, and then taking lessons. And I really took to the guitar really quickly. like the bands I mentioned before, like I love playing like Guns N' Roses and Metallica and stuff like that. When I heard Steve Vai, like that was like a life-changing guitar moment for me. That made me really want to take guitar playing seriously. I started learning his stuff, and then I got into Yngwie and all those other shredders and Dream Theater and stuff like that, and made me want to go on and pursue school and really master my instrument and master just being a musician. But for anybody that wants to make it in music, go all in. That's my best advice. Go all in and don't make any backup plans. Put everything into it.
One of these kids in this band, his mom and dad really were kind of harping on him a little bit about, trying to do music. And he was still getting straight A's in school. And he's like, they don't understand. And the first time we talked to him, we talked about this. And he's like, and he was on the phone with us. And his mom came and he's like, Mom, I'm on a radio show right now. And I'm doing this. And we talked to him again a month and a half later. And they kind of, backed him up a little bit since then. And said, this is your dream. And, that's what's so important to me. Like, my parents were very supportive of my music. I mean, I started playing horns and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong here. But, this kid right here, he's 17 years old, and he's learning from his best friend who's a really good guitar player, and he's learning his way right here. And I told him, you know what, never give it up. If this is what your true love is right here, love it, own it, hone your craft, man. If that's what you want to be, if this is what makes you feel 100%, there's nothing that'll ever give you better joy than playing music for somebody.
Yeah. I think I kind of went through similar experiences as far as butting heads with my parents, off and on. It's happened even as I got older. But, I think you really, first of all, you have to be positive that you have something to offer that's at least somewhat different from what anybody else is offering. You have to be good and special. You have to believe in yourself and really know that you got something special that you have to bring to the table. That's the first thing. And then the second thing after that is, I just really believe you have to go all in. Like, don't waste your time doing other things, and especially since this is such the music industry, it's such a youth-driven thing. It's like, I really believe just going full on into it.
We were talking earlier about football and you hear all these things. They have all these TV shows on that there's only so many football players out there and all these colleges and everything. That there is 10 times the musicians out there in the world that there are athletes. Mm-hmm. And there's half of the people who actually make it. Half of the people who actually make it. You have so many people out there who, even with all the symphonies and, these great musicians that we have in this country, there are so many more musicians that don't make it than athletes.
Right.
Even though the athletes make so much more money. I mean, you've got your far and few between the NFL and baseball, what have you. When it actually comes to musicians, especially when the music industry is going now.
And then it's not even just that, the competitive landscape. It's also, right when I was going to school at Berkeley, it was during the whole like Napster crisis. My first year of college, that was when Metallica was suing Napster. That was that year when I was in college, and it was like, the music industry was really transitioning, and there was lots of debate of where it was going to go. And really, over the last few years, have people started to learn how to start monetizing some of this newer technology. And I don't even know if they still have it totally down. But now it seems like there's reason to be optimistic now. Where when I was going to school, it was a really big transition there. So you got all the competition, but then you also just fighting for the dollar from the consumer is like when people can buy, get music for free and everything. It's like, how do you even make money from this? How does anybody make money from it? So you got that challenge too. So.
Well, that right there, and the one thing is, you can look at things, and you that who's been to school, now you're in LA and you're doing all this stuff, and yeah, it is easier nowadays with the technology, but in the same aspect, it cuts into your money. In the same aspect, yeah, as a kid who's 15 years old, who's a prodigy that can sit there on YouTube with a cell phone camera on a stand and get his name out there, but on the same aspect, it's so much easier to get people's music and not making money because of it.
Right.
So it's so hard, but it's a matter of love for music first, and getting there and doing what you do to get to that genre or to get to that point where you're playing or theaters, not, maybe not so much, arenas anymore. It's just become more theater. But, it may be easier nowadays to get your name known, but it's definitely a lot harder to become a Motley Crue or...
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, there's so many different niche markets now, and so it's like instead of like this big pie of money where you get signed by this one entity or whatever, now it's like all these little smaller pools dishing out cash, but it's much smaller, bits of money, and the pool from these different areas or whatever. But yeah, it's I think it was always hard though. I think 20 years ago people were still complaining about how hard it was or whatever. So. You just have to survival of the fittest kind of, it's just you have to learn to adapt and make the best of it and
play the game that's being played.
The demand for music, just as many as back then, if not more, people want to listen to music these days than ever before. So you just have to learn, and there are ways. I mean, YouTube is starting to monetize it from plays on YouTube. Some of these streaming services like Spotify are trying to pay the artists when people stream the music for free. It's not much money yet, but hopefully they can work that out so it's a little better deal for the artist at some point. So we'll see. Time will tell.
I have a question.
Time will tell right there.
You're 32 years old. What's the average age of the LA bands out there? The ones, I'm not talking about the old geezers that get up there and play in the pub that seats 150 people, and they get up there and play Leonard Skinner tunes. I'm not talking about them. The ones that get up there and draw the people, has a big followings and has to play original material and whatnot. The most popular bands out there. What's the average age of them? What you say?
That's a really tough call. And to be honest with you, I'm being honest about my age. Lots of people would probably lie and say they're 5 years younger or 7 years younger, but it's tough to that's tough to call. I mean, there's still a lot of people that when I first moved out here that are gigging a lot they've transformed their band names into different things, but they're still playing around the city a lot. And then I've also been here long enough to see some bands that I really thought were good, disappear. I have no idea what the hell happened to them. But yeah, it's tough. It's a tough call. I would say definitely most bands that I interacted with were, I would say 23 to 27 would be most likely. That's starting out and trying to make it sort of dancing. And then once you start getting into your late 20s, people they knock up a girl, or they want to slow down and get married or whatever, or get a real job or whatever it is. It's
I resemble that remark.
Life what?
We both resemble that remark.
Life starts to get in the way of things once you start getting older. So, but it's still there's still as long as you look the part, I guess it's okay. I think.
Yeah, I tried to look the part, but I started going bald and lost my hair, and I'm not as.
I shouldn't even say that. That's kind of a shallow thing to say. That's not even the best way. I think it's more your mental, your mental perspective and where you're at.
Well, I'm short and fat, and I have no hair anymore, so that pretty much takes the music aspect of me playing out of the equation. That's why I joined radio, because they can't see me. But
and to a large part of that, and I said that only because actually, when I first started joining bands in LA, like, I actually came out here, and I had long hair before, but when I came out here, I had short hair. And you'd be surprised how many bands they loved my guitar playing, but they didn't want me a part of the band because my hair wasn't long enough. You know, that was
exactly. You know, it's all image and everything too. I mean, back in the day, my hair was down to my ass, and I had blonde hair. I was beautiful back in the day. I don't know what the hell happened. I got old, but anyway.
Yeah, it's just like, but you know, at the same time, it's if you bring.
Go ahead.
You can still be a newbie on the scene, be a little bit older if you bring something new to the table and you bring a lot of energy and charisma to the stage.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I can put on one of those Hawaiian shirts and play in a Jimmy Buffett band, at a club right there next to the beach.
People love that stuff.
I'm just kidding. And I do love that music, don't get me wrong here, but, I'd much rather be on stage playing some real music.
I went to a Jimmy Buffett concert a few years ago at the Verizon Amphitheater down in Irvine, and you wouldn't believe how many young girls were there to see Jimmy Buffett.
Oh, absolutely. He's still huge, man. I mean, music has no age or tolerance. Good music does.
Right.
Yeah, it's not so much. It's not so much the club owners that, the club owners on the strip or whatever that are going to frown at a 40-year-old or whatever.
No.
It's the record companies.
I think as far as being a pop star, age would certainly come into play. Yeah, for sure. But even for metal bands, I mean, if you're like doing something more or less mainstream metal-wise, I don't think it's such a big deal.
Yeah. I agree with you there, man. I've watched too many times on like VH1 and everything. You get like Journey or somebody on stage, and they look like they're about to die, but they're still killing it when it comes to playing their instruments. You got a guy that looks like he's 70 years old killing the drums. I'm like, can you really do that? Is there something there? And you get that little Asian guy singing that sounds just like Barry. And I'm like, are you kidding me? That guy totally blows my mind. I'm telling you right now. That kid's ridiculous. But, yeah, I mean, you take some – and my uncle's the same way, He was older when I was a kid, I thought, He was in his late 50s, and I sat there and I got to play with him. I threw a little gorilla amp on top of his grand piano, and we played together, and he was just killing it. And that's one of the greatest moments of my life right there. It's the first time I'd ever played with a established musician. I mean, someone who had a little behind his name. And we sat there and we played for 4 or 5 hours. And at that time, I said I was 18 years old, or 17, about to turn 18, and I was still a newborn when it came to playing bass. Right. But he played along with me and just let me do what I was doing, and he was just, that moment right there totally changed my life right there. On top with meeting that guy, Joe DiBartolo, at the Grove School of Music, I mean, knew that this is where I wanted to be right here.
Yeah.
And, playing music at that point. And as I said, now, what? I don't regret where I'm at now with my family and my life and everything and slowing down my music. But it's still 100% in my heart, and that's why I do what I do now, was talking with you on the radio and, watching bands and like these kids that I was telling you about and watching them grow. That's what it's all about right there. It's the only form of communication that the whole world knows is music. You can go to Africa, you can go to China, you can go to Europe or America, and music's music.
A 4/4 beat is a 4/4 beat, regardless of where you're from or where you go.
Well, that's right. If you have to look at like how many rock band, like hard rock bands, especially the lesser known ones, the ones that were never famous, but like so many of them have reputations, and they can go to South America and play, or go to Japan, go to Italy, and they can be big, and they can be like rock stars there, And I don't know if the people understand what they're saying, the lyric-wise or anything, but they like the melodies and the music of it, that people like, So.
And that's what it's all about right there, because it's emotion right there. Music is emotion, and that's all it is right there. I mean, you take a guitar riff, and you have an idea in your heart of what you want to portray, and one person might understand what you're portraying, but another person will hear that song, and it'll be to what their emotions are right there. And it is unbelievable how wide open it is, and, how soulful and actually comforting to some people. I mean, it's amazing how, you hear old stories like Ozzy, made me want to go kill some people. Oh, because Satan. Music has saved more people than it's ever disrupted in a bad way, man. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Agreed.
When are you at any point, like in the near future, thinking about maybe hooking up with a small tour or something?
For the past year, it's been on my mind of something I'm wanting to do. Part of me just has to make the effort to make it happen. And talk to the right people to help me organize it. But yes, it's something that I would definitely like to do. I'm planning on. I've been working on some just straight up like hard rock acoustic things that I could take on the road myself, and I might do that at some point because it's just for the sake of being less expensive than bringing a full band on. Plus, I think it'd be a fun challenge to do as well. So that might be a realistic thing I do in the near future. If I find the right guys, or if I can find a way to make it happen, I would definitely do a tour for sure. It's something on the back of my mind. I haven't made a real honest effort to do the logistics of planning it out financially and everything. But yes, I would do it for sure. Do you have any advice?
Do I have? I've toured, but as a tour manager.
Yeah. That's what I need.
I know a lot of people.
Organize the thought process and just plan a strategy to make it happen and make it successful.
I could help you out. I mean, I've done a lot of small time promotional stuff. Plus, I have the experience of being a tour manager. I mean, I'm willing to to throw some ideas your way at some point, and I'm not going to charge you.
And I'm also willing to be a part of the whole thing too, man. I mean, if it comes down to it, you come to my town, I'll guarantee you 2 or 3 clubs in this area that will put you up there, and I'll play bass for you while you're here.
That's what I need, man. That would be awesome. That would be totally cool. And we should talk after the show and try and make something like that. Happen eventually here. I'm totally down to do that. My, you guys are in North Carolina. You're in Nashville, right?
I'm in Jackson, Tennessee, which is halfway in between Nashville and Memphis.
Okay,
I'm
gotcha.
2 hours from Nashville and an hour and a half from Memphis. But I have the greatest rock club. It's the greatest small rock club in Jackson, Tennessee. I've seen a lot of really, really cool bands. They got a great stage, great area, just a jam right there and have a good time, man.
That would be fantastic. And then, my sister lives in Charleston, South Carolina, and I go there and visit every once in a while. So, I don't think that how long I was always thinking about doing some sort of a East Coast tour and using between Pittsburgh and Charleston, something like that, trying to plan something out. As far as
Pittsburgh and Charleston, probably
on top of that,
about 10 hours. About a 10-hour drive from Pittsburgh.
That's 10 hours for sure.
I'm going to tell you right now, I've got an extra bedroom. You come stay with me and come hang out. I'll show you this club, and we'll see what we can do right there. I know a lot of guitar players. Actually, I know the lead singer to God bless America. Lord, my brain just stopped working. Anyway, it'll come to me in a minute. I know a lot of guys there that do guitar work, they do drum work. We have an open mic night that's phenomenal with these musicians. I mean,
well, that'd be fantastic. I'd be totally open to putting something together. See, sometimes it just benefits to simply ask people for help, and that's what you get.
What were you asking me about the East Coast? Because I thought
I
you were
was just saying I've been like brainstorming in my head, just doing some sort of an East Coast tour between where I'm from and then going down to like where my sister's based out of and surrounding areas. But I hadn't really. Go ahead.
There's a really good music scene in Charleston. There's an even better one in Myrtle Beach. There's not to mention if you want to go a little bit further south than Charleston, Savannah, Georgia. There's an awesome music scene there.
Cool.
Then up in North Carolina. I mean, North Carolina, it's hit or miss. There's not really any place with any real scenes, with the exception maybe Raleigh, Charlotte. Well, Charlotte's really far inland though. It's nowhere near the coast. Here where I am at Fayetteville, I mean, there's a decent little scene here. I mean, we have Fort Bragg, which has the 82nd Airborne Division here. So anywhere you have a major military presence like that, there's going to be bands playing everywhere, and there is here. Virginia.
Very cool. Yeah. Well, we should talk at another date and time and make it happen. I need to something I've been on my mind for a long time, and I just need to put the effort and just do it.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and get some information from Will, and I will give you a call here, and we'll get things rolling, man. If I can find something here for you, I guarantee I'll set you up right there.
Cool, man. Thank you.
First of all, I just want to say, I mean, we've got about 15 minutes left in this show, but I want to say thank you, first of all, for being on our show tonight. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate your genius in what you do and your experience, and I like your music. I think, I really think that it's important for people to hear what you're doing right there. Once again, please shout out how to get your album.
Yeah, the first source, I'll take you the links to buy it. It's www.sestric.com. That's SESTRIC.com. You can also go to cdbaby/Sestric. You can search it on iTunes. It's also on Amazon if you want to go there. Just search for my last name, Sestric. You'll find it. Something about the snake, you can type that in on the internet. You'll pull up buy links as well.
Well, Chris, man, we appreciate you being on the show, man. It's nice to have somebody that's on the front lines right there who's in L.A. right there, really, fighting the fight right there. We've talked to people from all over the country. As I said earlier, it's a little easier for them right now, where they can throw shit on YouTube and do what you're doing. But you're actually right there, on where the front lines came from. And, you with a degree in music and all that, it's nice to hear. And for, the people who are listening to hear what we're talking about right there, so they know that, it's not an empty dream, you can go out to LA and you can make a living, you can do what you're doing and love what you do.
Right. Yeah, best of luck to everybody trying to do it.
That's right. You know what?
I want to go ahead and wrap it. I don't want a chance, doing overtime on this tonight because of how the thing's been acting up. So we've got a few more minutes.
Okay, I got one last thing to say. Okay, one last thing to say. You ready? I just found out something today. I'm pregnant. April Fools. Anyway. I just had to throw it out there anyway.
Again, cool. Thanks so much for having me on.
That's Chris, man, it's been a pleasure, man.
I'll get in touch.
And I look forward to talking to you.
Cool.
And I'll get in touch with you in the next. I'll get in touch with you in the next day or two. And thanks again for coming on. And you have a good one.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Take care.
Well, everybody, can you hear me now? Okay. Well, everybody, thank you for coming in for another edition of the Will and Thunder Show. Chris, thanks for being on the show, man. You know what, Will? That was a great show right there. It was nice to, kind of see where it's coming from, the L.A. version of this cesspool we call music, man. I hope you have a great night, man.
All right, and taking us out, we're gonna be playing the song "Believe" by Sestric off of the album "Something About the Snake." We're gonna go ahead and play that out, and we will see you next week. You all have a good one here on the Will and Thunder Show, and good night.
Hopefully we find an airplane.
You can believe what you want to believe, but don't you try to force it fully to me. 'Cause I might be blind, but don't you think that you can see any better than me? Back up, man, you need to understand I've done what I can to be who I am, and it may not be how you like it to be. I let you be you, can you let me be me? You're a victim of your own complacency, but when you get in my face and tell me why I should change, you accomplish nothing that will come. But it's right to believe what you want to believe, but don't you try to force your belief on me, 'cause I might be blind, but don't you think that you can see any better than me? Think one moment, can you really relate to a situation 6,000 miles away? Now maybe you can, or maybe you can't, when you're seeing the world through a camera, man. You read 3 newspapers, watch 5 news stations, surf a dozen websites to get your information. Now maybe that's enough, or maybe it's not. I got your same sources and it's not a lot to believe what you want to believe, but don't you try to force your belief on me, 'cause I might be blind, but don't you think that you can see any better than me? 'Cause I know you can. But don't you try to force your belief on me, 'cause I'm a